Hey, this is Daryl at Good Attitude Services, 10-foot truck, and sitting here cooling by the air conditioning unit. It's getting up there really hot. This week it's going to be like, I think 5 days it's going to be over 100 degrees. Right now it's like over, right now it's 95, 96, but it's pretty hot outside. It's been heating up. And thank God that last year, on a junk job or a junk removal job, the customer gave me this window unit, air conditioning, and installed it, and it really helps a lot. I have another one in my other window, but this one helps for the office. It's awesome. It works great, and yeah, sometimes the junk and the junk removal services, you get some really good finds, and that was one, because those units right there, these are like, this is a Kenmore, which is a Sears product, but of course they don't make those anymore, but you know, they had some good products. These little units that go in the window, they kind of stick out your window, they get really cool. I'm just keeping it at a minimum right now, it's just as a normal, but I can drop it down. They're pretty durable, and they're fairly expensive. I think they're like $400 for something like this. I bought one last year, but it didn't quite fit. And then when I got this one free from the customer, I just let it sit here for a year, and I didn't even know it worked. I took it apart and cleaned it out. I cleaned it a bit, took all the pieces out, looked at the fan, and I put it back together and just let it sit here. But then I installed it just recently because it's becoming really hot, and this office gets hot. But this is great. So it's awesome when you get a good find like that. So anyway, so that was kind of what I was talking about. And another thing I wanted to discuss is I'd signed up for this app Curry. I don't know if anyone out there signed up for if you have a truck. I have a box truck, so I was able to sign up for it. But I think you also can sign up for. Let me look at this here. I'm looking on the site here. You can sign up, I think, flatbed trucks, and you know, bigger, like my truck's is a smaller box truck. I think you can probably sign up a van, and I think even cars on it. But it's an interesting app, and I've had a couple notifications because I hadn't had any notifications when I signed up for it last year, and then I just started noticing like a couple weeks ago or so. I started getting these notifications for delivery jobs in the area, and they look like they were pretty good payouts. So like they were decent, but some are long. You know, like I was gonna do one tomorrow, but I looked at it. And go, that's a pretty good payment for just driving materials. I think it's a lot of construction materials and that kind of thing. So I'm just trying to read this here because this Curry is a pro delivery service. Hot shots, holds, live tracking, net billing, pipe racks, lift gates, flatbeds. We deliver on demand and on time all throughout the week with affordable options. We ensure your deliveries meet the requirements of your customer, making you look like a genius. And it has all the customers, like it has all the companies. And it says Home Depot and some other companies that probably has to do with construction materials, I would think. It's a nationwide construction and building materials supplies. Curry is a team of in-house staff and nationwide network of professionals, reputable, trustworthy drivers, whether you have one location. And I don't know what, like I don't have pipe racks, and shows a picture of a flatbed with pipes, and then it has a little thing here that says Hot Shots. I was watching some videos on Hot Shot. I think there was a show that they had a while back called was it Shipping Wars or something like that. Anyway, they were considered hot. I didn't know what hot shot trucking was. I'm not. I mean, I drove trucks before. I drove 18-wheeler trucks, the Class A license. We didn't do hot shot. I just worked with a dispatcher, and the dispatcher would send me jobs. And back then, I had to contact them on the payphone. I didn't even have a radio. I had like phone cards and stuff. So that was a long time ago. But But I was seeing that show, and they're talking about hot shots, and they're using this app or whatever, or some they use load boards and to get these. I guess what happens is if a company needs certain materials within a certain amount of time, within a short time period, it's like maybe within that day or the next day, they're not gonna get an 18-wheeler or a big 48-foot trailer, because those have multiple loads on them, and it's probably it's gonna take longer probably. So what they do is they contract these guys who are doing hot shot. Some of them have vans. I think expediting too is like that. Expedite the vans, and some like the cargo vans, and some guys are running box trucks doing that, and all different types of trucks that do the hot shot. So looks like that's what they have listed here. It says so it says hot shots have your material delivered in a car. So you can use a car, even a hot shot, truck, flatbed, box truck, bobtail, and more. No delivery too large, no distance too long. So that's what I noticed on a couple of the deliveries that showed up on the app that I was looking at. They're pretty far out. I'm willing to go far, but it just depends on the day and what I'm doing, and I may go that. I'd rather prefer to go a little bit closer to the area, but in a certain circumstances, I might consider that for a certain payout, because I don't mind just driving. Driving to me is fun. I like driving. So if you're getting a certain amount per mile and it works out, for the fuel cost, I think it's actually a good opportunity. Especially, it seems to me like if someone is already doing the hot shot, and I know that I live near an area where there's a lot of like foundries and these manufacturing places around here. So maybe I thought about it. I got the app signed up. I'm thinking maybe possibly, because I do the junk removal and the deliveries with my truck locally, and I like that truck for that type of service. I also have it signed up on the Curry app, and Roadie. I'll take Home Depot deliveries for Roadie if their payout's pretty decent. In fact, today I missed two of the Roadies, two deliveries that were from Home Depot, and they were going to an area that I would consider going, because it was not that hard to get there. And it looked to me like there's two deliveries, and so one was like, I can't remember exactly what the payouts were, but I think if you did them both, it'd be, and I could fit it all in my truck, and it was going to the same area, so I think it was like $80. And so that wouldn't be, and it wasn't that far, so it would have been a pretty easy delivery and a pretty decent payout for just driving, not having to do too much labor. So sometimes on the Roadie app you'll get that. So it looks to me like Curry is similar, but I don't know, probably more. Obviously, they have, it seems like a lot more going on with different types of trucks that they're advertising, and it looks like they also advertise route deliveries, industrial, HVAC, metals, plumbing, lumber. That's probably where you need maybe the pipe racks with some of the plumbing, and then you got the FTL freight, full truckload, LTL, intermodal, and other capacity solutions needed to take your supply chain long distance. So they go probably fairly long distance runs. So that's where I would think, for me, possibly maybe as this, watching this app, maybe I'll do a couple that are a little bit closer to the area, see how that works. But maybe that's going to be a good resource for when I get a van, which I've been thinking about getting, like a cargo van, and these may be but a newer, because my truck's is a little bit older, but like a newer van I was thinking about getting for shipping cargo, and then just exclusively using that for these type of things, like for Curry or for Roadie, shipping maybe long distance cargo. I think some of these vans have a little bit better mileage than what I have on my truck, because my truck it's meant to pull a lot of weight. So possibly the this may be something to look into, because if I had a van listed on this as well, maybe I could get some pretty decent some of these hot shots, they call them, or dedicated service, whatever that. I know I used to watch these guys. They were doing vans. They call it expediting, which seems similar to what hot shot is. It's like there was certain materials that needed to be shipped in a certain timely fashion, and they were using load boards and brokers and stuff like that. But it seems to me like these apps, like this one here, you're bypassing these the brokers and the load boards and all that. You're just putting yourself onto the app. I'm sure there's other apps like that, but that's the one I know, Curry. And but I've seen a couple come on there. Last two, I think it was two last week or something like that, and I saw one today. I'm like, oh, there's another one. So if you're interested in doing, if you have a truck, or one of these type of trucks or a van or something like that that can handle that kind of freight, that might be something to look into as an alternative to, just what, for, like I have all these other apps that I use, so when I'm on downtime, because deliveries and junk removal and those type of things, there's slow times, there's busy times, and there's times where you're just not getting calls. I haven't established myself in this area that I'm at now, like I used to before. I had myself established. I had stores. I had a chair store. I had several consignment stores, like 3 or 4 consignment stores. I had regular customers. I was also on the job board. I was on a list at Microsoft when I was living over in the Seattle area, and so I actually got on a board for Microsoft so their employees could find someone to help them deliver or move and stuff like that. Whenever they needed to pick up and delivery couches and that, and then of course a store. So I was always getting called by these stores all the time, so I didn't have to worry so much about marketing myself. Even on Craigslist, I just would the phone would ring all the time. Well, I don't live in that area now. I moved to the eastern side of the state. It's a different kind of place, less people, but there's still enough people here for it's still a city, but it's just not as big as Seattle is. So now I've started using these apps just to because there's a lot of downtime as I'm trying to get these regular customers. So they're very useful to have. I haven't used Curry yet, but I'm interested because I'm seeing it looks like a pretty good app, and it looks like they have some good deliveries. So whenever I get one, I'll post it up about how it works, because I haven't done one yet. I'm just looking at the ones they're offering. I haven't picked up one yet because I don't have the availability right now. And then of course, like I said, I could have picked up a roadie today, but I didn't. That was taken by the time I got around to doing that. But I do enjoy doing some of the roadies too. And then I also have the food delivery apps, or like DoorDash and that. I do those whenever I can't get anything for the truck. I'm doing driving the car and delivering for food delivery like DoorDash, Grubhub, and Instacart. Shopping. I don't do a lot of that, but I've done it. So that's all I want to talk about. Is that these are other options. I'm always looking into alternatives, and I have about 10 different apps that I signed up for. Let me see. Well, I can't see it right now because I'm on the phone. But I have let's see. I signed up for Grubhub, Instacart, Shipt, Roadie, LoadUp, which is the one I like doing I do quite a few, not a lot, but I do at least one a month or so. I did one, actually I did 4, I think it was 4 LoadUps in July, or just before this. We had 4 just recently. And those are decent because those are junk removal, and they're local, so they're close by. And that's a junk removal app, LoadUp, so I like that app. I've done a few roadies, mostly the tire deliveries and some Home Depot deliveries. And then Uber Eats, which is of course delivering going to a restaurant, picking up food, and that's in the car. So I have those for the car, and then the Curry and the load up and the Roadie. For the Roadie, I can do car or truck. The Curry, I haven't done any yet, but that's exclusively for the truck. And then load up exclusively for the truck. So I think there's other ones I've looked at. There was another one I looked at. I think it was called Freight, and I never finished signing up for that one. I think if I get a van, like as an alternative vehicle, I think I might sign up for that one, because I think it was package delivery, something like that. I'm not sure, but you just look around. I bet you, like some other cities, like some of the bigger cities, have a lot more. I just noticed another one yesterday. I was looking at it, but then it was like it wasn't in my area, but it was like in bigger cities. So some of the bigger cities, like if you live in Chicago or New York or LA or these big giant cities, or like Atlanta, or Seattle, they probably have more of these apps available, and probably a lot more more jobs, more deliveries popping up on those. But it's good thing to look into. Just because I'm marketing on my own, I don't have like a lot of resources to spend money on marketing, and so that takes slower. It takes more organic development, like getting your repeat customers and that kind of thing takes a little bit of time. Whereas when you have these, they already done their marketing. They've already done all that. They have the resources to do that, so they're always going to be having these little jobs available, which can fill in your time. The one thing though is you just got to make sure, like I always do, I look at the, I do the amount of mileage. I always look at the material, like when they have a delivery, they're going to say how much weight and how many items and that kind of thing. So they'll give you, sometimes they'll get, like on Roadie, they'll give you measurements. So you want to look at all that to make sure it's going to fit, make sure it's not going to be overweight, that that you're going to be able to fit that in your vehicle, and then of course, what's important is the gas, the mileage and how much fuel you're going to be able to. You have to subtract that. Plus, another thing, if you're going to be going, my concern is if I'm going long distance, because I've had people call me to do really long distance stuff in my truck, and sometimes, depending on where it's going, if you don't have like the resources, like if you don't have, like for instance, I did a job where I went to Seattle, and I came back over the Cascades back to Eastern Washington where I live, and so it was quite a long trip, and I blew my tire out in Ellensburg, and luckily at the time I didn't have a spare tire, because that truck, when I bought it didn't have a spare available. So I was able to contact, I was able to go get into town, and the next day I was able to contact a tire, I think it was Les Schwab, and they were able to get me a tire, and they were able to get a mobile tire guy to go out there and fix it. And stuff like that comes up, so I had to have money for a cab, and money for money for a hotel stay at, because I had to stay there, and sometimes you might have to have money to rent a car if something like that happens, if you have to have your vehicle at a mechanic, and of course you have to have the money, for like, it could be a major repair. You might have to pay a mechanic a lot of money to do a major repair so that you can get your truck. I have AAA, and I also have roadside assistance on my insurance, and the AAA can tow 150 miles, but they have to have a special truck to tow. They have to have a big flatbed to tow my truck. So sometimes you can't get those flatbeds out there, the bigger ones. So sometimes you got to wait a little bit longer. So unlike a car, you can just get that towed out pretty quick. And in my policy, my insurance, my AAA, I think it's 150 miles they'll tow you. So if you're out that far, you can get towed into the city or to your mechanic, or maybe even get towed home. But I remember once I had to get my truck towed. I blew a tire out, and that's why I have to get. I'm looking to get. And it's funny because I should have gotten a spare after that happened, because the truck, when I bought it, they didn't have that option. It didn't have like a spare underneath it, so it was a bummer. So I never bought one, because I was always doing local jobs. I was like, if it blows out, I can just go have someone pull the tire out and get it, But it's a lot easier if you have that spare where you can just put it on yourself, or or have even the guy technician come out there with, because they have the air, like the air gun, or I don't know if they use those anymore, but they have those wheels aren't easy to pull off because I have those. They're pretty. They're hard to get off on those trucks, and plus, my truck is a lot of weight, and I don't even have that type of jack to jack it up, which I probably should get that too, if I plan to go further out, because you want to be prepared. But the main thing is having the resources, having that extra money, just in case something happens where you can, you're going to feel comfortable. You're not going to stress out. You can get it taken care of. It might take a couple of days, but so you got to think about that when you're going on the longer distance runs. There could be something could happen. I used to do a lot of long distance runs back and forth. Do 200 miles, that kind of thing, one way. And not really super long distance, but like just far enough out where you could, and I never had problems. So it was just that one time. But you never know. You never know what could happen on the road. So that's a good thing, to be prepared, be safe, have everything, in order. So, and then make sure that when you're going on those runs and those deliveries that you're, they have, check everything out. Like I just got my truck, I got synthetic oil put into it. Check the filters. There's some things I have to do to the truck. Probably in the next couple months. I know I probably have to clear the, drain out the brake, bleed the brakes fluid and get some new brake fluid in there, because it's kind of old, And then so the oil's fresh, brand new. The filter's good. The tires are good. I had brand new shocks put on it not that long ago. I had the struts replaced. Or no, not the struts, sorry. Was it the tie rods? I think it was the tie rods were bad, yeah. Something like that. I had the suspension basically, a lot of new parts on the suspension. Transmission I had rebuilt, so that transmission's good. The motor's got a lot of miles, but the motor's, I've had a guy look at it, he says it's in good shape. So, and if you keep that good oil in there and change frequently, and I had the spark plugs and that changed and tuned up. But it's always something you got to do, for the truck. You got to. It's part of what it is when you're running a vehicle like that, and so but hopefully I'll find. I'm gonna try to get one of these Curries that's a little bit closer to where I'm at. I saw one yet last week. I didn't get it, so then I can kind of comment more on it, how it works, so that if anybody's interested. And they can see, how I'm sure there's videos. I think there's videos on. I'm sure there's videos on YouTube that are people have done the actual deliveries, can tell you how it works and if it's worth it. I can only comment doing the roadies. I've done those and those worked out for me. Not all the time, because sometimes there were things where the customer. No, it was one time I went and did a roadie. It was not the customer. It was the store didn't have the items, so that they had to cancel that one. That was the only time that happened. But most of the time it works pretty good. So it's just a good alternative to have. I'm always looking for different streams of different areas where I can make money and have them on the back burner, not just the junk removal. And not just the deliveries, but also other types of, deliveries, and then different things, where I can go to if if I'm not doing something. Well, I'll look over there and see if there's something available there. I even have like job apps where like W-2 type jobs, or they're like temporary job apps. I can't remember the name of it, but where you can sign up and there'll be like a job like at a warehouse, and you'll say job available for 1 week. The pay is like $600 or $700, and what they tell you what the job is, and then you just apply on the app. Kind of like back in the day when I used to do temporary work. You go down to the temp service, they have all these jobs available. I even did like Labor Ready, where you go there and then 5 in the morning, and someone would say, I need a guy to to drive a dump truck. I did that. Drive a sand truck, or like landscaping or construction. You know, labor, all kinds of different things. So it's kind of like that, but it's on an app where they list what's available, and you can just, I think you get paid through the app. So they're kind of temporary jobs. So those are also good to have, just in case. Like for me in the wintertime, if things are not going, if I'm not getting enough work, then I can always just go into that area there, or take one of those jobs on the app. So just another stream of another opportunity, and so I'm always looking like that, looking at different things. But I'm always also focused on the truck too itself, because that's my main source. That's what I really enjoy is doing the work on my truck, doing the deliveries and the junk removal jobs on my box truck. That's what I like. But anyway, that's enough talking for today. Good Attitude Services stands for the truck. Stay cool out there. I know here it's going to be hot all week, and that's the way it goes. Middle of summer. All right, have a good one. Bye.